I'm David with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm here today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
Hey, fantastic.
All right.
12 degrees out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've canceled a lot of things for tomorrow already. I think we're actually going to get snow tomorrow.
I
mean,
know.
we haven't had enough snow to shovel this whole winter. We've had at least 3 times they said we were going to get like 6 inches of snow this winter, and somehow it all went to Kansas City or somewhere else.
It all goes south. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it somehow keeps missing us. And they really think we're going to get it this time, and maybe we'll get some today. But tomorrow, regardless, it's supposed to be like -6 or -8. And I don't like it when there's a dash in front of the temperature. That
Yeah,
makes me
no
uncomfortable.
kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I want to start out today talking about our friend from Salt Lake, and it's not so much I'm trying to give him a plug. He's certainly not paying us anything,
Yeah.
but I like the guy a lot. He's all over social media, and he was talking in an article. He's saying that, and this is Alex Lawrence. He's a professor at a college there in Salt Lake City, but he has 2 car dealerships called EV Auto, and he exclusively sells plug-in hybrids or electric vehicles, and he does quite well. Last year he sold something like 1,200 cars or something like that, and that's a lot. Most of that was Teslas. So Alex bought the first Model S Plaid in Utah for his own private car. Okay, he said he paid $151,000 for it. Okay,
New, obviously.
new. He bought it new. Okay, it was a 2021. And he's like, you guys are not going to believe the crazy deal we're offering today for $100,000 off. It's not his car, but it's essentially the same car. But it's a 2021 Model S Plaid with 56,000 miles on it. I think this has like 150,000 mile warranty. So it's still got like 90 something thousand miles of warranty for $54,980. $55,000 for a car that was almost triple that price 4 years ago.
Yeah. What does that say about depreciation? Wow.
Yeah, that was massive. But the thing is, like, Alex knew he was paying to be an early adopter. Like, he got one of the very first Cybertrucks. He got one of the first.
Sorry.
What is the Hummer? He got one of the first Hummer EVs as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's been a real early adopter, and this is massive depreciation, but it's also massive opportunity.
So, you got a flight booked out to on Delta?
Man, that is really tempting. Man, I don't know what I'd do. I really worry about my own safety if I was driving a 1,000 horsepower car. I just know I'd do something stupid.
We'll have to briefly touch on Ferrari then.
Yeah, well, even in the the dual motor Model Y, it's really hard not to just which isn't even 500 horsepower. It's really hard not to just stomp on that and just leave all the gas cars a block behind me.
Well, yeah, and I can do that with my Fiat with all 82 horsepower or whatever it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought that was, worth mentioning, just because I found it kind of fascinating. I mean, like I said, I'm not really so much trying to give Alex a plug, although, I really like what he's doing. And I think that's going to be kind of the future. He's even, I was telling you, he has that Hummer EV. He has, I'm trying to think of which one it is, if it's the Cybertruck. So they have a Cybertruck and they have a Hummer EV that the dealership uses. Okay. And they have a service business exclusively for EVs.
That's the loaner.
yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because I think he's debt free. Like, he doesn't even floor plan the cars on the lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's no way he's really ever going to lose money, because he's not ever going to be just stuck, having these big payments to make. But, not everybody can start up a business that way, right?
No.
Most people have to borrow and steal or whatever to get a business going. And he's had some previous success and some tech startups and some things like that. And he's
Some
well
guys, some
known,
guys just
respected
have,
guys.
they just have the Midas touch, don't they? It just seems that whatever they touch, it seems that way. Probably isn't that way, and they probably have a lot of lost sleep and ulcers and everything else that goes with that. But it seems like on the exterior, some people just have that Midas touch.
Oh, I've had some stories from people who did some crazy stuff in the computer industry that came about by accident because they were going through a divorce, and they ran a classified ad to get they needed to get rid of something, and they had such response to the classified ad that they had bought a computer and they had to sell it, and they had so many offers above what they'd paid for the damn thing.
Huh.
From the classified ad, the guy decided to start assembling computers, and next thing he knows, he's selling like 1,000 computers a week.
Who's that, Dell?
No, no, this guy lives down that I've just known for years down in
Yeah,
Florida,
yeah.
and um, he started making millions all because
Because of the divorce.
yeah, because of the divorce. What he was doing was he was actually buying actual IBM PCs, adding additional memory and hard drives to them,
Okay.
and selling them, but they were hard to get, and people didn't really know much about upgrading the stuff at
Right.
that time, and it was just kind of good timing. And he was doing what's well enough, so well at it that IBM actually sued him. They didn't do very well.
Oh,
IBM didn't, and
yeah,
he was making money so fast that he had plenty of money to fight them, and you know
yeah,
made
yeah.
them go away. But it was just really interesting kind of see. So, first topic, I want to talk about Lucid. So, Peter Rawlinson, who's the CEO of
Right.
Lucid, is now saying his ambition is to make it so that only 20% of Lucid is selling cars, and the other 80% is licensing their technology at other manufacturers.
Right.
Now,
Which remind you, that's a nice segue from talking about IBM, because I was going to say, yeah, well, wasn't he sued by Microsoft? Which is a nice segue, because this is what uh,
essentially the same thing.
essentially say what he wants to do is he wants to become the Intel, or I guess maybe I should say the Intel inside. So yeah,
Yeah, well, he even says he wants to be like he's providing the Microsoft Office and get a royalty
right.
on every car people make, because they have made the most energy efficient
Yeah.
motors
Yeah.
for EVs. So
Yep.
their cars get 5 miles per kilowatt hour. And this isn't going to, I don't think this is going to suddenly become a big thing. They're going to have window stickers on the EVs that say, this is how many how many miles per kilowatt hour you get.
Right.
And you think about it. Here in Nebraska, you pay about 12 cents for a kilowatt hour. If you're getting 5 miles, that's only 2.4 cents per mile to
Yeah.
drive that. You compare that to a car getting 30 miles per gallon and paying about $3 a gallon. You're paying 10 cents a mile. So that's 1/4 the cost
Yeah.
on a fuel efficient car. I mean, there's a lot of cars and trucks driving around here that don't get half that mileage. So you start driving a Suburban or a full size pickup truck, you're probably lucky if you can get 15.
Oh yeah. Exactly.
And you start talking a really big difference there. And they've got that. I don't know. I think this is a little much of a thing. He's also saying he believes that they'll be making more than 1 million cars per year by the 2030s. When, last year, I think they hit a record, they were just below 10,000. It's a far cry from millions. I mean, they still need
Yeah.
to, that would only they need to 100x what they're doing now. The Saudis are going to help. There's no question. But selling 1 million Lucids a year, they're going to have to enter the mass market and really be competitive with other car
Serious.
manufacturers.
Yeah. Seriously, building mega factories. Yeah. Yeah.
I know we don't have any Audi stories today, but Audi is suffering. At first I saw Audi suffering in the EV space, and it's like, oh, they're suffering in every space. Audi's really hurting on sales, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of it is
I
just
saw something that, what was it, that BMW is selling more electric vehicles than Audi and, was it Volkswagen combined?
I don't know.
Oh, no, Porsche. Porsche. They're
Okay.
selling more. They're selling more cars than Audi or Porsche combined.
Hmm. Well, it seems like there's some popularity there to people who want to drive a BMW that like that as an EV, and maybe the Audi ones haven't caught on quite as much.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Well,
don't have the
we
same
we
brand
we
loyalty.
we have one person who drives an Audi. That's our colleague
Yes,
in Wednesday
on the Wednesday show.
on the Wednesday show, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know that he switched from a gas Audi. For
Oh
instance,
well, no, I
you,
don't.
you
I
know,
don't know what he was driving before. Yeah.
yeah. But Lucid's already had Aston Martin sign a contract for technology for electric powertrains and battery systems, although Aston Martin hasn't launched a battery electric car yet. They expect to license it to more rivals, and so they can make the components. Well, we'll see where that goes. I mean, that's
Well,
certainly a different
yeah. Well,
take. I don't
more.
know. I have a hard time seeing that happen.
Yeah, I don't either. It's the winds of change that's blowing through the industry at the moment. It's hard to say which way that this something like that would go. I'd love to see it succeed because the more efficient, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just like a while back, the CEO of Cattle was saying that Tesla is going the wrong way with their batteries that they're manufacturing.
yeah,
Like they're doing something that Cattle doesn't think that will work out for Tesla, and apparently Tesla thinks it will. And those are your you know two big players in the battery space.
hmm
Although I don't think Tesla sells their batteries to anyone else. I think they use
no,
all
I
of the
have.
ones they
I've never
manufacture.
seen. I've never seen that they to that effect. Yeah.
All right. So um, I want to talk because I found this story kind of funny. Although it's what the Tesla Cybertruck is a lot like cilantro. You either like the taste of it or you think it tastes like soap. Okay. And,
That's the way to put it. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is. It's the cilantro of automotive right there. So this is actually a nice looking wrap. Um, there's a nice one that comes over my tennis club that's white and black now, and I like that wrap as well. But um, this is, you know, one that was done in gold. I basically I hate seeing the stainless steel. If they're not wrapped, they just don't look right anymore because the wrapped ones look so nice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyways, this particular owner has wanted to trade it back into Tesla, and Tesla won't take it back. And they're getting hate, and they feel like could lead to violence. People are leaning out their windows and you know giving them
hmm
the middle finger or
Yeah.
yelling stuff at them. And this is kind of funny. And I was telling Bill before the show came on. So it used to be Tesla drivers would have people like in pickup trucks, especially diesel pickup trucks, try to roll coal, try to make get in
hmm
front of them and do stuff. And um, now, because of Elon Musk, it's going the other way. So now, and they were saying that somebody even I don't know where one goes to buy a swastika sticker, but somebody put a swastika sticker on the back of their Cybertruck. And
Someone did, not the driver. Someone else
no,
came in
yeah,
and put it on.
somebody
Yeah.
did that. And um,
Yeah.
so,
Well,
anyways,
I've seen photographs where they've actually taken a spray can and I think either they spray. I don't know. It was derogatory what it was. Either it was a sticker or it was something spelled out Nazi or whatever. So yeah, that's it's becoming. Of course, you see an increasing incidence of owners reporting that they see the vandals come along and you know key their car or do whatever other kinds of damage, spray paint them, whatever,
yeah,
just out of what would we call it, Musk derangement syndrome. So
yeah, they don't really realize that they're being recorded most of the time by the
yeah,
car.
and the car's recording them. Yeah,
Yeah, but anyways, I just found this as kind of fascinating behavior that now you have a mix of both liberal and conservative hate for Tesla and Tesla drivers.
Yeah.
I find that just kind
Well,
of fascinating. Now I could see somebody else not liking the fact that somebody is driving around in a $100,000 truck, but that they probably aren't aware that all the Ford, Chevy, and Stellantis trucks are almost that expensive too. It
well,
doesn't take much to break that $100,000 barrier on a
no.
pickup anymore.
I don't think it is simply a factor of jealousy that this person can afford that. I think this has much more political overtones to it. With particularly within the last. I mean, there's the guy I was listening to this morning said that up until about April of last year, Elon Musk was very pro-Democrat, and then for whatever the reason was, last spring he suddenly decided to get on the Trump bandwagon, and threw what nearly a $300 million at the Trump campaign. Um, so of course, now we see what's happening with respect to, I'm calling them the musketeers, right?
Hmm.
The little 19-year-old and 20 and 24-year-old hack team that he's put together to go in and read only the federal data files, and of course that's running into all kinds of judicial, injunctions and cease and or whatever whether the law terms are, basically cease and desist, take off. In fact, one judge has ordered them, whatever you have come up with and whatever you copied, destroy it. So we whether they will or not, or whether they'll decide to take J.D. Vance's advice and don't listen to the courts. Um, you know, so I think that has concerns
It
about it.
does. It does. Well, so the owner has gone into some Cybertruck user groups, and some of them think that some of the problem is because he wrapped it in gold, and it's just too gaudy. Because the other people say they may have had incidents before. None of them get the hate that this guy does,
Yeah, because
and
of
it
the
could be where
gold.
the guy lives too. He's in Massachusetts. Um,
Oh well, there you go. If
I
he
mean,
hey, he should move, to Florida or Texas. He'd be fine.
yeah, Worcester, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe he needs to go somewhere else.
Not a bastion of red political sentiment there.
No, it's a bunch of really tolerant liberals out there flipping him the bird and
Come
scaring
on
his
out,
kids.
come on out to Nebraska. We'll be happy to have you here.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Bill ever told me this earlier. It's like I could find crazies on both sides. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no problem.
yeah.
I mean, politics is theater for the most part. I mean, if I watch any news clips from something going on in Congress, I'm just like, oh, look at me. I'm going to complain about somebody else doing something else, and we're going to argue, and I'm going to look good for the voters. And it's just like, oh God, can we just not get you know something better done? Anyways, um,
Yeah, let's fix the problems, but
all
not
right,
shaft the nation in the process.
all right. So Congress has reintroduced a building owner and manager association backed lithium ion battery bill.
Yep.
Now, so what their thing is, and thank God this isn't about cars, but it's about e-scooters, e-bikes, and other
Right.
micro mobility.
Right.
And it looks like you've got people like Kirsten Gillibrand, Chuck Schumer, Marsha Blackburn. So you've got
And
Republicans and Democrats on this.
and and
Deb Fisher.
yeah, because
Oh,
Deb Fisher. Now there's a story here. Now Deb
okay.
Fisher got, a few weeks ago, her husband refused when she got resworn in, having
Hmm.
won the election here in the fall. When she got resworn in, her husband, for whatever reason, did not shake the vice president's hand, right? Which pissed off a lot of people, including me. But anyway, Deb Fisher, when she was a state senator, was part of the hearings that I attended and testified at on some initiatives to make electric bicycles legal in the state. In other words, so that an electric bicycle was considered a bicycle and not a motor vehicle. And that would allow you then to ride it, in places that are basically reserved for bicycles, manual powered
Right.
bicycles. So I was kind of surprised, but then not surprised to see that she was on as a co-sponsor of this bill along with Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand. So I wrote, I called her office, and I said, well, I'd like to, thank her and please explain why she decided to do this. I haven't heard back yet from their media person. I think they've got their hands full. Apparently, from a Reddit post that I saw, the congressional offices in Washington D.C. for Nebraska are
Hmm.
getting more phone calls per capita here in the last few weeks than the entire state of California delegation.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting. Well, anyways, now their idea here is they want to create some kind of standards, so consumer product safety standard for rechargeable lithium ion battery use. Unregulated, unregulated, that's interesting, lithium ion batteries pose a dire fire safety risk. Well, we've talked about this many times. You don't want to buy, something with a cheap lithium ion battery that's been made by somebody random, because you're inviting disaster. Um, and lithium ion battery safety has rapidly become a top priority for property owners and managers across the country who are on the front lines of making sure that office buildings and other commercial spaces are kept safe, according to Manuel Marino, the chair and chief elected officer of the Building Owners and Managers Association International. This
yeah. So
legislation will help protect the safety of millions of people in the nation's commercial buildings. This legislation will save lives.
yeah, so basically, this stems out of the unnecessary and tragic number of lithium fires, particularly in the city of New York, and hence the interest of Senators Gillibrand and Schumer. Again, that's why I couldn't quite figure out why is Deb Fisher coming in on this. This is Nebraska. I don't know that we've ever had any fires like that. But so what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to charge the Consumer Product Safety Commission to establish a set of standards by which all batteries for these micro mobility devices, so the skateboards that you see and the kick scooters that you see kids and adults around here running around on, as well as electric bicycles. And they want those batteries and the associated electronics, like the chargers and things, to go through a certification process. I brought this to the attention of an individual who is very closely allied in frankly, one of the pioneers in the electric bike space, Larry Peasy, and Larry responded with an article, a link to which I sent you from, I think it was 2023 or 24, that basically his concerns expressed to me is that the legislation as it's currently written has too narrow a time frame for getting the legislation right. And Larry, if you're listening, please comment. And in fact, I've asked him, and I think I may have CC'd you, that to come on the show and let's talk about this as an expanded issue to clarify their position on that. But I just saw another headline, and it was either on the West Coast or the East Coast. I don't remember which. Yet another fire that killed at least one individual, have fatalities with it. So it's an issue. It needs to be addressed, but obviously we need to do it in a way that protects everybody, and doesn't necessarily harm an industry that we need. Because I'm all in favor of, if you don't need the car to go to the store, take the bike, take the scooter, and get a little fresh air
Yeah,
in the
I
process.
remember we did statistics for the state of New York about this for their e-bike fires because they were having problems, and we discussed this about a year ago. And
Yep.
if you were an e-bike owner, your chance of dying in a fire was about half your chance of getting struck by lightning. So it wasn't zero,
No, it wasn't
but
zero.
it wasn't zero. Your chance wasn't zero, but it still was pretty slim. But that being said, there are some unlucky victims of these oddball fires, and much like
I
people
think
who had
it's
their cell phones
I
catch
think
on
it's
fire a few
I
years
think
ago.
it's over 100 people in New York
Mhm.
area. And of course, we're talking 100 people out of what? What's the population of the greater New York area? What, 10 million people or whatever it
Yeah.
is? So obviously, it's a tiny fraction of that. And again, you're right. It's just, I mean, I've had electric bicycles, knock on wood or
Yeah,
whatever
I'm
you
just
do.
saying, don't be afraid to ride an electric bike
No,
because,
don't
for
be
that
afraid.
reason.
But be careful. Make sure that first few times you're charging it up, make sure the cables aren't heating up, the charger's not getting warm, the batteries aren't getting warm. Those are all signs that there ain't something right here. Um, and if there's damage, visible damage to the outside of the battery, or there's, the case that charges them is cracked or whatever, be careful about using things like that, and maybe replace them, because that's generally what the problem is. It comes from equipment that has been abused or not assembled properly, and you'll catch that. A new piece, you'll catch that pretty quickly. So just be careful the first few times you charge it. Make sure that everything stays nice and cool.
All right. Yeah, I saw that this People for Bikes as an organization that the government's tried to reach out to for some advice and talking about different battery and charger standards, and they've tried to be involved. That was from that article from 23
Yep.
talking about this. And yeah, but anyways, we're going to
And
go ahead
well,
and
yeah, let's go ahead. But basically, so if you're interested in an electric bike, there's a lot of good information out there. Just make sure that you don't try to get by so cheap that what you're getting has not been UL certified. I mean, that's the bottom line. If it's UL certified, you should be good.
all right. Well, if you've been driving around, you see those fancy Amazon electric delivery vans driving around, and you've wanted to get one for
Every
yourself. Well,
day, every
now
day
you
they go by
can.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, now you can for the low price of $80,000. They will sell one to anybody now. Not It won't say Amazon on the side of it,
right.
but you can put whatever you want on there. Don's Chicken, or whatever you want to put
Yeah.
on the side.
Well,
But
that would make a great yeah, that would make a great food truck, wouldn't it?
yep, now Rivian is starting to sell plug-in vans to any company for just under $80,000. And let's see, they've been exclusive, and they have an obligation to produce 100,000 of these for Amazon. But they're on track. They've sold 20,000 so far, and they're supposed to deliver another 80,000 between now and 2030.
Okay.
And of course, Amazon owns like about 1/6 of Rivian stock. And anyways,
So
they are
sorry.
now allowed to sell them elsewhere.
Yeah. Which yeah, that maybe we should go talk to my friend here that does those kind of conversions, and see if we can do food trucks or whatever, utility trucks, things like that. But yeah, anyway, that's good to see. It'll get more people involved with more companies involved with that much cleaner, much nicer technology.
Yeah. So last year, Rivian delivered 51,500 vehicles, of which
Was that wasn't vans? That was
that's not just
all
that.
of them.
That includes the R1T and the R1S.
Right. That's what I thought. Yeah.
And I would imagine that most of those sales were the consumer vehicles, not the
Probably.
vans.
Probably.
But because they couldn't have delivered more than about 8,000 vans, so at least 40,000 of those were consumer vehicles. But we're waiting for them to start delivering the R2, and when the R2 starts cranking out, they'll probably start doubling that number. That
I,
Rivian's one of those companies that I think for sure will eventually beat that 400,000 magic number that Jigger Shaw
Jigger
was
talked
telling us.
about. Yeah.
A car company really needs to ever make any money. I think they're going to get there. Lucid, not so sure about. Peter Rawlinson may be saying they're going to get that, but I don't know if it's really important that Lucid hits that number. Whereas for Rivian, it probably is. But I think Rivian will make that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. All right, let's switch and talk about this topic about EV managed charging. It says there's a problem no one wants to talk about.
I was
And
not at all aware of this. That's why I decided we should bring it up. And I went and asked my friendly chat bot to fill me in, because this article that I've posted on the website and that we'll probably talk about uh, didn't really explain what was going on and how that works and why screen scraping is, what that is and so on. So yeah, this is an area I was not aware of. Was an area of concern when it comes to public charging.
so when people talk about Tesla, one of the things people either like or don't like about Tesla is that they're data gathering machines. So Tesla gathers data on your driving habits,
Yep.
on the road, how fast people are driving on particular roads, how they turn on corners, and all this different stuff, because a lot of that is being fed into their full self-driving features. So when people are driving around in Tesla now, they're feeding data into so their system can much easier drive people to their destinations when they go
Right.
to full self-driving cars. But they also sell this data to car insurance companies. They also do other things with the data to try to make their cars better. One of the other areas is the Tesla supercharger network also collects data. They know when the supercharger is busy. They know how long it takes to charge at each one, how efficient each one is. So you would think, though, that other charging companies would have access to the same thing. So other companies that are in the charging space have tried to do similar and collect data about cars that are charging, but apparently they're getting pushback from the automakers. And so the automakers don't want the charging companies to collect the data. Some have either blocked or taken legal action against the charging companies. And some of this makes it I don't know, it's this
Well,
odd data management that the
yeah.
companies
Well,
are fighting over.
so here's what my understanding is that car companies, I'm assuming like General Motors or Ford or
Mm.
Tesla, whoever, particularly the ones that don't have their own charging networks, have cut deals with utility companies. So, like for example, General Motors is in the process of rolling out a network of their own and that type of thing. So they've cut deals with utility companies to be able to accurately price the charging of their chargers and understanding when peaks are and all those things. Because if there's excess renewable energy on the grid, sell that at a premium, at a higher rate than you would maybe have to get if you have too much. And there are cases where, for example, I think here in the U.S. as well, particularly in Europe, where you go into a negative pricing situation where they actually have to pay the person producing the power to not produce the power. or you've got too much renewable. So if you can balance all that out, that then allows you as a charging system operator to improve your profitability. And if you're the car maker rolling out your own charging system, you can see where that information is very important. What the concern is that using, and I actually saw a YouTube video on how to use Python to scrape this information off the internet. So
Hmm.
basically, you go off and you set up a program that runs in the background to these websites that show you where your chargers are and you know which ones are active and which ones aren't and so on. You take that information, you scrape that, and you bypass the car maker and you bypass the utility with which they have their arrangement. It's costing you only the programming, right? It's not costing
Hmm.
you any kind of royalties or commission or whatever kind of pricing structure they've set up. And of course, that gives that company running that app or running their own charging system gives them the ability to undercut and offer cheaper service. That's where the utility companies and the car makers are pushing back against.
Yeah,
I
they don't like
think
this scraping thing.
right. They
Yeah.
do not like the scraping thing because it's a way to bypass. And of course, as the article points out, is that then because those systems are always being updated and changed and so on, then you get information is being put through that isn't keeping up with the scraping. You know, the system breaks and things, and so people are having these things. Well, it was supposed to be this, and you know, it's not working or whatever. That's causing that because you don't have that agreement. You're relying on the software to scrape things for you for free,
Hmm.
and that makes the charging experience, you know, less enjoyable for customers.
Yeah, well, it's interesting to see that this battle is going on, and the
Yeah.
sad thing is going to all that's doing is going to keep improving the monopoly that Tesla is going to have in this space. Tesla's eventually going to be a monopoly in this space in the
Yeah,
United
well,
States.
yeah, well, at some point, you know, there'll be a government bureau that will say, no, you can't do that. So I don't expect monopolies don't last long.
That's not going to happen anytime soon. I mean,
No,
but
no,
and
no.
I really
Particularly at
think that a lot of these charging companies are going to go out of business, and you're going to have you'll probably still have some of the people, right? You'll have
right.
Tesla that'll have 95% of the market, and all the other companies will have 5%. It'll
Well,
be
you got
something stupid like that.
yeah, there will you know you've got the Volkswagen backed one, Electrify America, and you've got ChargePoint and some of those ones. Some of the more early or later entrants, yeah, who knows where they're going to be.
I mean, now if you're going to buy a new car, it'd be foolish to not get one without NACS charging.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it just would make no sense at all. Oh God, my friend with the BMW i3, his something now his car won't work on a level 3 charger anymore, so he can't supercharge anymore. So he's still traveling around, but now he's only doing level 2 chargers. And
Oh,
he says,
wow.
so he's got this 80-mile battery. He says to go from 0 to full takes about 3 hours on level 2 charging,
Yeah.
and he went down to trying to think of where he went. He went a couple places. He went down to Colorado. I think he went down to New Mexico and did some other stuff recently. And I'm just like, dude, man, that just he's getting to
What is
visit all the chargers. I mean,
what is
I
he
tell him he needs to be.
what does he do during the downtime, the charge times? Do he read novels or
I think he naps or something. I think
oh
that's when he sleeps.
yeah.
Although otherwise, when he's not
Does he have to
charging,
drive all night?
well, and he door dashes. So
Yeah,
he'll go to these towns and he'll door dash and just hang
yeah,
out in some other town for a while,
yeah.
and eventually he comes back to Omaha.
Wow.
And it's just it's just interesting to see that.
Hey,
I just tell them, dude, you should be putting this stuff out on the internet. People would love to see this.
invite him on. Let's talk to him. Let's get him some firsthand experience.
Oh yeah, I should. I should. Oh man, it's such a wild story. I mean, he's a digital nomad in an EV that has
Yeah,
an 80-mile battery. You
yeah,
hear all these people talk about the EVs being a city car. This guy's figured out how to travel to Florida and Arizona, all from Nebraska and New
yeah.
Mexico and all these other places, and keeps doing it in that damn BMW i3. And it is so funny. It, anyways, let's move on to our last topic, and this has to do with winter weather and EV batteries.
Mm.
So, and I've seen that there was a couple of new things. I saw Stellantis is trying something with some kind of like exhaust system, but that's not what this article is
No,
about.
no, no. No,
Um,
this one is about the use of lithium titanium phosphate, LTP, which
okay.
apparently when you put that together as part of your cathode, that allows them, because apparently that combination of chemistry is not as negatively impacted. Because what happens, of course, as the battery gets cold, the materials in the battery shrink, right? And
Mhm.
so they can't accept as many or release as many electrons as they would when the battery is warmer. I mean, the ideal temperature for a lithium battery is basically the same point thing for a human being. 73, 74 degrees, I'm happy as happy as a lark. And the battery's the same way. And when we get down, obviously we have to bundle up and even we slow down. So the idea is that this cathode material apparently allows it to not shrink as much. And so by not shrinking as much, it can then pass the electrons back and forth more easily. And that will improve cold weather performance. That's the theory, at least.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of things lately that seem to like the idea of making it so that the battery just doesn't have that same issue. Like I said, Stellantis had something recently, and I didn't get into cover it. I think it was because I wanted to cover it on a Wednesday, but maybe that's something I should look at a little bit harder. But um, they've got this second generation sodium ion pack that works at minus 40.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to see how that is coming about. But the battery situation in Norway, I think they figured out that once you know how to properly use your EV and preheat or
Right, right.
heat later or whatever, um, you really only lose about 19%
Yeah,
range, which is actually about the same as what gas and diesel cars lose in the cold.
yeah.
So it
When I
really isn't much different.
Yeah, typically on my car, if it's, I think here with this cold spell we've had, sitting in my garage, so garage is probably never really gets to freezing. It's, 35 or 40 degrees or whatever. That typically when I drive the car, I've got like 88 miles of range when I have it fully charged. And then I get in and I turn on the heater and that'll drop to, instead of 88, it'll drop to, 80 or 79 or some number like that. So it does, it impacts some, but, for a city car, it's really, it's quite adequate. I, I don't like it. I don't want and seldom ever take the thing out of town, um, even in warm weather. So you know your limits, and you stick with your limits. So, but it doesn't have a lot of effect. And of course, with the new technology now, look at if you're going to look at a new car, a new EV, make sure it's got a heat pump, uh, heated seats, heated steering wheel. Particularly,
All that.
I love the heated seats in my Fiat. That's great. So,
Nice.
those kinds of things, you do that, you can actually not even necessarily have to often turn on the, the heater for the thing. So there are things you can do, and of course, preheat, the battery while it's plugged in. But yeah, winter, it does have an impact, and you just learn to live with it.
All right. Well, Bill, that's all we've got for today.
No, that's
And I'll be back
probably
with
not.
Mike tomorrow. And we've had lots of people watching today, so really appreciate everybody tuning in. And Bill and I'll be back tomorrow with Mike Herzog, our engineer, and Bill and I'll be back on Thursday.
Yep.
Otherwise, everybody have a great day.